Hi, this is Farah.
This is Alex, and welcome to Student Life in Labs.
So I'm currently doing a systematic review and a meta-analysis on the use of vaccine or immunotherapy on Alzheimer's disease.
So how would that work?
All I need to do is just read lots of papers published on the use of immunotherapy on Alzheimer's disease, and I extract their data, and then I perform a meta-analysis to see the whole view of the use of immunotherapy for Alzheimer's.
So tell me, what would be the real-world application of a project like this then?
So we use mice as a model because they're closest resemblance of the human physiology, and we use transgenic mice in this kind of research.
What are transgenic mice for our listeners?
Transgenic mice is where they breed with specific genes that either switch on or off. So for Alzheimer's disease example, transgenic mice models express genes to make or cause them to have Alzheimer's disease. So Alex, what's your project about?
So at the moment, we're trying to introduce magnets, tiny magnets in a point of care test. So for example, you come in a hospital and you're ill, but they don't quite know which disease you have. They kind of have an inclination, so they're going to get these little strips out with the specific disease bit on the strip itself. And if the capture element in the sample is found on the surface of that test, then that means you have said disease. It would be done through a blood sample, and it would take about 5 to 10 minutes maximum if it works.
Wow, that is super fast. Your project is so different from mine.
Yeah, it's a lab-based project, so I spend about 5 days a week easily in the lab, if not more.
Oh, I'm just working on my desk, which is a really bad habit because I do snack the whole time.
Wait, you allowed snacks at your desk? We're not even allowed to drink in our desk. This is like against human rights.
Oh my god, I sometimes have ice creams while analyzing my data.
Ice cream? Oh my god, I'm so jealous. How? No, sorry, no, this is not okay.
Well, I guess because nothing is dangerous or contaminating.
Yeah,
in my
that's
lab.
true. Yeah. To be fair, they have put our desks directly inside the lab, so I mean, it certainly facilitates the walking directly to the lab bench kind of thing. But at the same time, it's a bit sad because we're not allowed to have drinks anymore. Sad times.
Okay, that's interesting because you say about walking distance.
Yeah.
Do you count your steps in a day in a lab? Because mine is almost like zero unless I walk to the toilet, and that's about it.
Okay, so I don't count my steps, but
I think you should.
I've got a fitness tracker. I've got the certain watch from a company that do sell expensive phones. So we didn't get the approval from that company for publicity, so I'm not going to say the name. But I've got that said watch, and it tells me that I have actually walked quite a lot. And I'm like, well, it's not surprising because I spend all day just running around the lab, getting some chemical from this cupboard, going to the lab bench afterwards and stuff like that. So yeah. I do.
Have you got lost in your lab before? Because I heard it's like a labyrinth in there.
Well, you've been there once, so you know how it is.
Yeah, I got lost, but
yeah, but
I'm not the
easily.
same. Yeah, I'm not same as you are. Like, I'm always confused.
Yeah, but no. So I wouldn't say I've got lost, but it's not always easy to know which is the easiest way to go from point A to point B. Someone should definitely make a GPS.
Has someone got lost before and come to someone and declare I'm lost?
Well, they didn't declare they were lost as such, but I was told by one of my fellow comrades that there was a Chinese girl who came over to do the studies, and the layout was so confusing. I mean, it is confusing that she got lost in a staircase, not knowing where to go.
That could potentially be me. I got lost on the way here on a different floor.
And literally just across the corridor to this room.
I know, I just tried to make it sound logical, room number 6 is it? So I'll go for downstairs, look for room number 1, and hoping if I walk along, I reach room number 6.
I think the architect of this building designed it so people would get lost.
That sounds like a funny job. Or music,
Yeah.
like imagine if like people keep reporting to them like, oh, like your design's not that great, and people get lost, and he must be like laughing his head off, like personal achievement.
He probably is. We don't know that.
Talking about architecture, so the big building opposite us is the Royal Sick Children.
Yes, so dear listeners, we are lucky enough to have a room at the first floor of Chancellor's Building with a view directly looking at the RH Sick Children building. But there's a big but. The building is not currently operational because the builders have messed up the ventilation system. That means it will not be open for a couple of years now, and it will cost an actual whopping big amount of cash. I do not know the exact figure, but I was told it was quite the big cash amount to repair. But yes, this is the Royal Infirmary of Royal Hospital of Edinburgh Infirmary, sick children, and
It looks nice though from outside. I can see lights inside, but if they say there's like ventilation problem, does it mean that people can't breathe in there?
no ventilation problem. That means the airflow is not working properly to, well, just
Yeah,
rooms
no
and
air,
stuff.
no
but-
oxygen.
But in your house, you don't have a ventilation system, and yet you can still breathe.
Do we not have it though?
No. It's not built in every building, and you can still breathe. Like the old building back at the main campus of the University of Edinburgh, obviously they probably have an adapted version now, so there's an airflow. But back in the day, they didn't have those. They only opened windows and it worked.
So are you saying that medieval architects are so much better than the modern ones?
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's completely different, and well, they're not. No. We're not going there. They're not better. They're just different. I mean, they did with what they could at the time, with the knowledge they had at the time, and the knowledge we have today compared to the knowledge we had 100 years ago. I mean, we wouldn't be here talking on the podcast with the knowledge we had 100 years ago.
Yeah, but with the knowledge they have, they still screwed up. So
Yeah, but mistakes happen. Like, haven't you never screwed up in a lab? Have you never screwed up in life? Surely this screw up is going to cost loads,
Yeah.
but, mistakes do happen. I mean, I'm not taking the defense here. I'm just like arguing with the philosophy of mistakes.
what's the worst mistake that you can remember that you made that cost you a lot?
The worst mistake that I've made, it's probably going to be something in the lab. Yes.
Is
no,
it?
Yeah.
Is your life all based in lab?
Well, no, but up to a few years ago, the most expensive mistake would only be like, oh, I've just poured a cup of tea on my maths book and now I can't read the exercise. So that's easily replaceable for 10 quid. But like last week, 2 weeks ago, actually in the lab, I prepared some strips, and to functionalize them, we need a specific reagent. I used the wrong one, so it was completely covered with salts and there was no reading possible from it. So basically lost 3 days worth of because it takes about 3 days to create the strips and functionalize them and stuff like that. So we can take the measurements then on day 3, which then take a few hours before we know if it actually worked. But yeah, I messed up badly on this occasion.
So you wasted your life.
No, I wasted 3 days. I didn't waste my life. Don't be so melodramatic.
Well, I never thought that way. I think the most expensive thing that cost me is my MacBook, where I accidentally splashed water in the bath. So I always watch movie in the bath. So I put my MacBook on the toilet seat and I watch it. And then there's one day I was like splashing about and water, like piles and piles of water just landed on my keyboard. And I thought my MacBook is just gonna die.
This is bad.
Yeah, so like the screen was like flickering. I was like, oh shit, but then it's fine. It's like 6 years, so I deserve a new MacBook.
Is it still working?
It works. After a couple of days, I just like left it off for several days and it works as normal. Not as new, but it worked. The screen is not flickering anymore.
I probably made a similar mistake because I didn't know how to clean, those electric toothbrushes.
How do you clean them?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So I just put it in a dishwasher.
What? Wait, did you take the head out?
Yeah, no, of course, yeah, because I needed to change the head, but I just put the main part in the dishwasher, so I left it to clean and stuff like that. And when I went to fetch it again, it was clean, obviously. But it didn't turn on, so I was like kind of panicking, thinking, oh no, I've messed up. It's now broken. What am I going to do? I decided just to put it on the base, see what happens. I put it on the base. It actually started charging. So I'm thinking maybe what happened is some water went in it, short-circuited the battery, and now the battery's flat. So in fact, might have happened with your MacBook.
I don't understand, why do you want to wash your toothbrush base
Not
in
the
that
toothbrush
way?
base, but like the tooth. So you get
The body?
Yeah, the body of the electric toothbrush, because it was covered with toothpaste, and on the bottom was something.
Can't you just do it by hand under the tap of running water?
I did try that, but it's still, because the water is not soft, it's hard, it's like got limescale in it, so it would be
As is
traceable.
it down in England?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't have this problem in Scotland, especially with a free water supply. Ooh. Well, that's for students because we get council tax discount. Yes.
Free water, but
Yeah.
not free electricity though.
I know. Oh, that's another discussion. But going back to the electric toothbrush, not toothpaste, electric toothpaste. But going back to electric toothbrush, so the limescale just left plaques on it, and it was bugging me. So
I can see that. It will annoy me. Have you tried bleach? Bleach is amazing. It's a miracle liquid.
And you want to put bleach in something that's going to go in your mouth.
You don't put the body bit in the mouth. You put the head in the mouth.
I got a big mouth. It goes deep. It goes deep in them. I need to clean all those teeth.
What, your wisdom teeth?
I don't have my wisdom teeth.
You don't have your wisdom teeth.
I had them removed.
Oh my god.
It was the most painful 2 weeks of my life.
My dentist
I
advised me to do so, and I'm like, every time I see him, I just pretend that it's my first time hearing it. It works, by the way.
No, but like when I had them removed, the surgeon came down to me. I had like general anesthetics that day, but she came down to me and she was like, after I woke up, obviously not while I was asleep, but she's at the bottom of the bed. Picture this: you're in the bed, right, recovering from heavy
In the
operation.
bed?
Well, yeah, because I was general anesthetics. You're asleep.
Oh. Okay.
So you're in the bed, you're just waking up from the operation, you're knocked out, you're starting to feel a tingling pain in both sides of your mouth and stuff like that. And she comes in and she's like, this was the single longest operation I've had to this day to remove wisdom teeth. Your wisdom teeth were so entangled with nerves. I am really sorry, but in the next week or so, you are going to feel pain like you've never felt before. Well, I would be so dramatic as she was on that moment, but...
Not yet.
No, but she basically described the details, and it seemed like a heavy operation. I needed to get a bit of blood back in. Well, we didn't get blood back in, but I had drip of fluids.
All right, okay.
I think I went through 3 bags that afternoon, just saying how much liquid I needed. But so what happened after that, like my cheeks just ballooned out. I looked like a right chipmunk.
I was going to say that. Do you feel like a chipmunk?
I felt like a chipmunk at the time, but
Oh, that must be cute.
no, it wasn't anything. I could not have any solid food for at least a week and a half.
So what did you have then?
Soup, teas.
Soup. Oh, you could have protein shakes. You should have that.
Ew. They're just, no.
But they're nutritious.
Yeah, but a steak in a blender, same thing. Obviously, add a bit of, like, probably a tomato just to make it more...
What, you make your own soup?
Well, yeah.
So your mom didn't make soup for you?
Well, she did, but I didn't make it. But she made the soup. Like, I was there when she was making it, saying, oh, do you want this and that in it? I was like, yeah, sure, let's put this and that. Make it a family activity. Woo-hoo.
Family bonding, I say, to soup making, guys. I think it's possible. What's your favorite soup?
Oh, I don't know. It probably would be just plain tomato soup with a tiny bit of basilic on top.
Fancy. I like cockaliki, guys. So if you want to impress me, get me cockalikis.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, we're going to move into the section of the show where we're going to discuss about the latest news in the biomedical sciences world. So I'm going to leave Farah to describe the paper she brought
I
in today.
totally forgot about that. I have the paper next to me. So I found this article published in May about blood tests could detect lung transplant rejection in early stage. So basically, what this article say that if you get a transplant of a lung from someone else, and if it's not compatible with your immune system, it will kill you.
So it's a bit like the graft versus host disease.
Yes. So you'll be dead because your immune system is fighting against you instead, which is
Against you instead of a lung. So it's going to fight you instead of a lung that has been transplanted into you.
Maybe not. I mean, I'm just confused after reading it.
Maybe.
But I'm surprised because I thought they would have done this like many years ago before doing a transplant of anything.
So have they found a workaround?
I don't know how they've been doing this beforehand. Maybe they just risk it.
I think it would be quite a costly operation to just whisk it.
I don't know, but I think the thing that they want to highlight in this article is how they use automated DNA sequencing.
So how would they use automated DNA sequencing? And so for our listeners, automated DNA sequencing is?
So DNA sequencing is a process where they find out the sequence of the amino acids in your cell.
So basically, the DNA strand is looked at under microscope, you could say.
Yeah.
And this is used to determine whether or not the lung that has been transplanted is compatible post-transplant.
Yeah, because everyone have their unique sequence of amino acid.
So that would mean that if they detected that there could be a potential to rejection, they could increase the medications, right?
I believe so, but they could also not do the transplant because you're not compatible.
Yeah, but the paper itself mentions the fact that this test is done post-transplantation, so that could be one of the limits. That is not a pre-transplant kind of test that would detect whether or not the lung is compatible beforehand.
Why do they not do a pre-test of this DNA sequencing before transplant to the recipient?
Well, they probably do a test beforehand, but there's always a limit to what a test can do. We have to think about that too.
But if this DNA sequencing is a very high-tech technology, if they can apply to post-transplant, I'm pretty sure they could do it during pre-transplant as well.
Yeah, but think of the number of lungs they'd have to, and I mean not the number of lungs, but the number of people they'd have to sequence just to find a compatible match. If they found one that was compatible enough to do a transplant, you'd get the get-go to go do the transplant, and then you measure afterwards whether or not there's a chance of rejection. If there is a chance of rejection, you could do the increase of medication to make sure the rejection does not happen. This is a logical way of doing it. If not only does it save a lot of time, but it probably is less costly than doing the screening beforehand. Do you agree?
Yeah, from your argument, I kind of agree now. But in an ideal world...
Yeah, in an ideal world, you put it beforehand.
Yeah.
But you have to see it in a logical way, because our society is profit-driven, and you're not going to go through probably 600-700 people just to see who's going to be the best man. I mean, probably is more than that. Doing all those tests just to make sure that they are 100% compatible beforehand. You're going to find a person that's 75% compatible and crack on with it, I'd suppose, just to make sure the profits are greater before, and have to make sure that it stays okay afterwards.
Do you know, in my head, the best possible outcome for medical field is to have everyone's genome sequenced in a library.
Yeah, but
when you were born, so it's almost like getting a driving license, and you give sample of your cells.
Then again, it's a welcome to Gattaca kind of scenario where, well, not really welcome to Gattaca, but yeah, still a bit, yeah, because they get the sequence at birth, and you basically lose the privacy. Oh, because wherever you go, you're going to leave some traces of your DNA. And if your DNA is in a data bank, then people could just go around hoovering places, and just looking at who's been where and just tracing people around. And then you lose said privacy. Or if, for example, there's DNA found in a crime scene, I'm taking the side of the perpetrator. I'm taking the side of people that have similar enough DNA that it's going to resemble the one from the perpetrator from said crime scene. and they could just be wrongly accused of crimes they didn't commit.
Yeah, you do make sense. Okay. Now I'm starting to think a bit more. But look at the time.
So yeah, guys, we're going to have to leave you now. So welcome to our podcast to start with. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time. When's next time going to be?
See you next time. We will update you.
Yes, we'll tell you in the next episode how frequently we'll aim to release these episodes. Hopefully bi-weekly, but that's just hopefully.
Yeah, I guess that's all for us today.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for listening. Enjoy.
Bye.